Welcome to the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast Vlog. I'm Sean, I'm your host. And it's Saturday, you know what that means. It's time for a wrestling review. Saturdays are going to be our wrestling day. So, let's start with, my favorite AEW. Coming off the heels of CM Punk's return, Dynamite was okay. It's tough to follow up Punk at return. He made a great entrance. He came on. He got a little promo out there with Tony Schiavone, which is something I'm sure for him was a big deal because when he was in WWE, clearly he never worked with Tony Schiavone, and if you're a wrestling fan, Tony Schiavone is one of those guys. So I'm sure that was a big deal for him. But overall, he got a nice promo, again, kind of reiterating what he'd already said in a lot of ways about being excited about being in AEW and excited about, wrestling Darby Allin and kind of proving to himself that he still has it. Which was, and it was a great promo, and the crowd was excited, and it was a good deal. But outside of that, the only other major thing, you had the tag team tournament match. You had the six-man match with Darby Allin, Kingston, and Moxley against the Wingmen, I believe it was. You had some matches that were just okay, but there was nothing from a match standpoint that kind of knocked your socks off. You got a promo from Miro kind of calling out Eddie Kingston, which we got a payoff on at Rampage, and that's going to be for that's a match that's going to be on All Out for the TNT title. I keep wanting to call it a television title, and I know I'm wrong, but that's just how I associate it. But it's the TNT title. The big thing, other than Punk, was the confrontation between Christian Cage and Kenny Omega. Good Lord, I couldn't think of it for a second there. Where they kind of had their words, and they're these promos are meant to really push this match, a match that, in all honesty, nobody wanted for All Out. Like, the match we wanted was Omega versus Hangman Adam Page. This is the match we wanted. This is what we wanted to see. This is what we were counting on. We were counting on Hangman going on this 2-year journey from when he lost to Jericho at the first All Out to, All Out, yes. All In was the Cody one, but All Out. So going from All Out 2 years ago, where Hangman lost to Jericho, and then he had the feud with Pac, that he kind of lost that, and the downward spiral of Hangman Adam Page to the redemption of Hangman Adam Page, which we expected to come at this year's All Out, where he defeats Kenny Omega, proving his he is worthy to be a part of the Elite. That was, if you follow that storyline, that's what we as fans were expecting. That's what we as fans wanted. And unfortunately, or fortunately, Adam Page, his wife is expecting, and apparently the due date is right around All Out, and he asked to be taken off the card. He asked to be taken off the TV, take a leave to be with his wife. Can't blame him for that. It's just, from a fan standpoint, it's shitty timing, because this is what we wanted. We really wanted to see this storyline pay off in a way, and unfortunately we missed that. So hopefully once Hangman's back from maternity leave, for lack of a better term, I guess that's what you'd call it. Once he's back from that, and he hopefully they can kind of rebuild that storyline a bit. The seeds have been planted. The demise of the Dark Order, which I'm sure is going to set the for Bray Wyatt to come in and be the new leader of the Dark Order, taking the place of Brody Lee, who, you know, back in the day, I mean, it makes sense from the standpoint of, you know, you look at what Bray Wyatt has done with his character over the years, and he worked with Brody Lee for a very long time with the, you know, the Wyatt family and everything else back in WWE. So it makes sense from that standpoint that this would be something that they would probably, you know, let's bring in this guy. We can, you know, the Dark Order's hot. We can make them hotter with Bray Wyatt. And he has ideas that, you know, WWE maybe found hard to swallow, but we'll let him do what he wants. That may be good, that may be bad. I don't know. But overall, Dynamite and also Rampage were just, they were good cards, but they weren't great. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I'm not going to sit here and like say, like, you know, this was a C+ card, a B- week for AEW. You know, somewhere in that range, to me. The storylines got pushed, but overall, the in-ring action wasn't as good or as exciting as, you know, you would normally hope it would be at AEW. But they're going to have weeks like that. I think the card for All Out that they're pushing now, you know, you've kind of got the card set, is a great card. I think you're going to go back, I mean, with the, you know, at Rampage, the Lucha Brothers defeat Jurassic Express, and they're going to fight in a steel cage against the Young Bucks. Well, again, that's going to take us back to 2019 and the feud that they had between Double or Nothing and All Out for the AAA Tag Team Championships. You know, they had a great match at Double or Nothing, and then at All Out they had that ladder match, which was an absolute masterpiece. You know, so you're going to see, you know, the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers in a steel cage. To me, that I can't even imagine what the four of them are going to come up with. That's going to, you know, the way that they're going to. I think we're going to see some very unique ways that the cage is going to be used as compared to how we've seen it used in the past. This isn't going to be a regular steel cage match. This is going to be probably something very special. So I mean, that's a match worth looking forward to. You know, I'm a fan of Chris Statlander, and I'm a fan of Britt Baker, DMD. You know, so that's a match I'm looking forward to because I think both of them are very good wrestlers. And I think, you know, well, again, that feud hasn't been pushed as well, or the tension for that match has been pushed as well. You know, I feel like that's one of those matches that, much like the Nyla Rose Chris Statlander match, I think, you know, it has a lot of potential to be very good. If you recall, like that match kind of fell flat. It followed the Young Bucks against Omega and Hangman for the Tag Team Championship, which was like a 40-minute masterpiece. And that crowd was so exhausted when that match came around, and it you know, I feel like wrestlers who feed off the crowd, they didn't have anything to feed off of. There were some botches in that match. It wasn't as good as you would hoped it would be, and it's kind of forgotten because of where it was sat on the card. That tag team match was going to be hard to follow by anybody, let alone a feud that was kind of cold as liver. And I think the same thing here. I hope this. I think Baker and Statlander can put on a good match, but because of the lack of intensity of the feud, so to speak, the lack of build-up for the feud. I mean, because let's face facts. The match everybody wants is Britt Baker against Thunder Rosa for the Women's Championship. So this feud hasn't had the proper fire underneath it to make you, you know, to make you feel like have any feelings toward it, I guess. but I think it's going to be a good match. I think these are two women who can put on a show, and I hope I'm right. Other cards on that match, I think Miro versus Eddie Kingston is going to be a great match. I think with a short time to build, I think Eddie Kingston can, come on Dynamite next week and cut a promo on Miro that will have you fully invested. You'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm in, because that's how good Eddie Kingston is with a microphone. So I mean, I think overall it's a good card. I think Christian Cage and Jericho, or not Jericho, Kenny Omega, God. I think they're gonna have a great match. I think they're gonna have a 5-star match. There's not a doubt in my mind it's gonna. I mean, you saw what they did in Pittsburgh for the Impact World Title. I mean, that was a great match. That was an amazing match. I think given the less time constraints, with a pay-per-view, I think they can go a good 30 minutes and give you a match that's well worth watching from beginning to end, not just some spot fest. And also, I mean, you throw in there the Jericho match, where he's fighting MJF, and if Jericho can't win, he's going to I like how they're avoiding the word retire. He will never wrestle on AEW again, which is nice, but I feel like this. There's a part of me that says, clearly Jericho's going to win this match. Why? He has to. You don't. But there's a part of me that's also kind of saying, like, this may be a way to pull him away from wrestling. I just read an article that stated that Jim Ross was going to be, finding himself in a reduced role in commentary, and I could see where you would put, Jericho, who's right now on the Rampage team, the announce team. You could move him from there. You could put him into that spot with Excalibur and Tony Schiavone, and I think you have a solid 3-man booth. And then you take him off of Rampage, because 4-man booth is a little too much. You put him in a situation where, but you put Rampage into a 3-man booth with Excalibur and Taz, who do a great job on Dark. Like, that's one of the reasons to watch Dark, is just to hear those two kind of have fun with their commentary. But I think also Mark Henry, he does as much as he can based on being in a 4-man booth. I think if you take Jericho out, who is such a presence, you can allow Mark Henry to shine a bit more. So I think this may be something that they're looking to do, which would not surprise me in the least. And I mean, let's face facts, Jericho has had a career. I mean, he AEW's on the map because of Chris Jericho. He has such an amazing run in WWE. He had an amazing run in WCW, despite having anybody helping him out. So if this was going to be the way you send out Chris Jericho, and especially to MJF could milk that as a heel for a very long time. The Jericho killer, the man who retired Chris Jericho. That would just create that much more hatred for the guy, and I could see it happening. I would not be surprised to see Jericho lose this match. Let's just put it that way. So I think overall, watching both shows this week, Dynamite and Rampage, they were meh. They were C+, B- level shows, but you're gonna have that. Hopefully they, and it's tough. The comeback, like I said, you got the high of CM Punk in that return. And in all honesty, does anybody remember any match after that? No, you don't. Sorry, you don't. But you go from that high of the return of CM Punk to, we got to get back down to business in reality, and we're all kind of lost in the shuffle. Hopefully that Tony Khan and company can rebound this week, and really get back. This is go home week. This is all 3 shows are in Chicago. All 3 shows are live. It's go home week. Let's get ready to go home. So we can get to the pay-per-view and put on a hell of a show, and I think that's what's going to happen. So that's that. A couple of WWE notes. Saturday you had the big SummerSlam event, and the biggest SummerSlam ever, based upon views through Peacock. That's fantastic. Good for them. The Becky Lynch return, that's big for WWE. She is probably out in all honesty, outside of Charlotte Flair, the biggest known name in women's wrestling. And having her come back was great. I don't mind that, for whatever reason, Sasha Banks couldn't be there, so you substitute Becky Lynch into that match with Bianca Belair. What upsets me is the treatment that Bianca Belair got in getting squashed in 20 seconds. Since WrestleMania, she has been the face of the women's division. She's been everywhere. She's really kind of put that on her back and carried it with pride. And I think, losing to Becky Lynch is not a sin, but I feel like, you could have given her a better match other than 20 seconds, to get squashed. I hope she has a feud with Becky. I hope it goes well. I hope those two, they just deserve, Bianca Belair deserves better than what she got. And I think Becky Lynch suffers a little bit because the buzz wasn't about her return, it was about the Belair loss. And with WWE trying to counter program the CM Punk return, trying to make their own noise, the return of Becky Lynch, which should have been big news, instead gets lost because people were upset with how Bianca Belair lost her title. And then, at the end of the show, you have the return of Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns, he wrestles John Cena. They have a great match, and Roman Reigns retains the title. He's still the tribal chief. He's still the head of the table. And here comes Brock Lesnar, a man that Roman Reigns pursued for a number of years, a man that the WWE fans get upset when he has the title because he's a part-timer. He's not there all the time. And the return of a guy that, in all honesty, you as WWE fans were even sick of that feud. It went on for years, which is great, but it was just, it's not what you wanted, apparently. And I think Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman in his corner, this whole tribal chief, head of the table gimmick has worked really, really well. They've built this indestructible monster, which is now part of the problem. And how do you beat the indestructible monster? Well, if it's not going to be Lesnar, there's one legend left. And that's Dwayne. And he's not coming back. I don't see, he seemed pretty satisfied that the Cena matches were his last matches. So, do you want to see Lesnar beat Roman Reigns? Who do you want to see as Universal Champion at this point? I don't know, because, they've built Roman Reigns into such a monster, this undefeatable, it's not like Ric Flair when Ric Flair held the title for a number of years, where like he kept getting by the skin of his teeth, or it was horseman interference, or something that allowed him to retain the title. No, he is just beating people up. He is just demolishing people, and it's gonna cause a problem at some point, because it's like you have to say, well, who can rise up and beat this man? And I'm intrigued to see how that goes. I mean, is it going to be Lesnar? And if it is Lesnar, how angry are people going to be? It's like, because once he comes back and he wins the title, he disappears for 2 months. I don't know. Like, I certainly hope. I certainly hope WWE figures this out. Because it's a problem. You're creating a problem and you don't have a solution. I don't think. And if Brock Lesnar is your solution, then all you're doing is setting up for another Brock Roman Reigns WrestleMania. I don't know who wants to see that. One final quick note. Apparently Adam Cole is a free agent at this point. His contract was up with SummerSlam. Based upon everything you're hearing about NXT, and based upon Vince's mandates about the type of guys he wants, I don't see Adam Cole coming back to WWE. I could be wrong, but you can't. If I'm Adam Cole and I'm hearing this, I can't sit there and say to myself, well, they're never going to make me the face of the company. I'm never going to have an opportunity to be the guy. In NXT, he was the guy for good reason. He's one of the best in the world. But I don't see where, unfortunately, for whatever reason, Vince appreciating his talent and putting him in a position on either SmackDown or Raw to be a world champion, to be the face of the brand. Because I just don't think he believes in Adam Cole. And that's rough. But, they released, I guess last night, the new logo for NXT, and it looks like something that was like, painted. Like, I don't know. I don't blame him for wanting to rebrand NXT. I don't blame him for trying to, that's kind of reboot this and make it something else. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's a stickler. They've got a lot of work ahead of them. They're making that work themselves. So we shall see. So that's my wrestling report for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of rambling, I know, a lot of ums. I got to work on that since it's just me and I'm not hitting off of somebody. That's a little difficult for me to do. But remember, this is a vlog that's attached to a podcast. That podcast is the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. You can find us damn near anywhere you find podcasts. Just give us a search. We're very, very easy to find. And you can hear all of our thoughts, myself and my co-host, Ian, each and every week. We drop new episodes Sunday night for Monday morning. So please, please, please give us a listen. I'm supposed to also say, if you liked what you see here, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you can get notifications when I release new stuff. I forgot about that. I see that in all these other YouTube videos, but I forgot to say that. So smash that subscribe button and make sure you have yourself set up for notifications for every time we release new content. The dreamer has awakened.